our dearest viewers in a new episode of NBC Journal. This is Lana and Uwais again with you. And of course, Bassam will join us in minutes. But before, let's see what do we have on NBC Journal for tonight's show.
Actually, before we say the headlines, I want to tell you about what I was doing yesterday. I was looking for organizations who are interested in youth and social impact. And I ran into Help Rise, and also I ran specifically into your name. You participated in...
Yeah, I participated maybe a year ago.
Yeah, in the competition that happened at An-Najah University.
Yeah.
So, and you came actually in the second place. So would you briefly tell me what was your project about?
Oh, wow. It's a great project. Actually, it was with the 3 other guys. And it was about the companies and how we can do researches for these companies. And also we engage people in these researches and whatever
in some kind of questionnaires.
Questionnaires,
yeah,
yes.
Because I read a little bit about it.
Yes,
yeah.
and each person who's engaged in this questionnaire, we give them credits.
Some kind of reward.
Everything is online.
Okay, thank you for this brief.
Yes.
Okay, so what do we have on tonight's episode? Actually, we're covering the protests that are happening in Lebanon by Palestinians.
On business hiring foreigners. And also we're going to talk about summer in Palestine.
With Bassam also,
yes.
He has a report. And
of course we're going to talk about the Vox Pop with the movies, latest movies, and the influence of the movies on the students of An-Najah National University. But before, let's see the breaking news with Bassam.
Thank you, Lana and Uwais. Israel is committing a war crime and ethnic cleansing against Palestinians in Wadi al-Hummus area in Sur Bahir in the occupied city of Jerusalem, adding to its black record of successive crimes against human rights, land and holy places, particularly in Jerusalem. PLO warned today against the Israeli ethnic cleansing in occupied Jerusalem and its environs, including the appropriation of church property and the decision to demolish residential buildings in Wadi al-Hummus. Dozens of Palestinians, including a paramedic, were injured during clashes with Israeli occupation forces in the occupied East Jerusalem neighborhood of Al-Isawiyah. At least 22 Palestinians, including journalists, were injured with rubber-coated rounds by Israeli occupation forces during the weekly anti-settlements protest in the village of Kfar Kaddoum in the northern West Bank. The Arab League held the Israeli authorities fully responsible for the death of prisoners Nasser Taqtaq, who recently passed away in solitary confinement during the integration period. The Palestinian Journalists Syndicate reiterated last night its position that opposes any meetings between Palestinian journalists and officials from the administration of U.S. President Donald Trump. Azzam al-Ahmad, member of the executive committee of the PLO, called a number of Lebanese officials to discuss with them new measures affecting work of Palestinian refugees in Lebanon. Thank you for watching. These are the news for today.
And thank you, Bassam. Hundreds of Palestinians protested in the refugee camps of Lebanon and also in the capital city of Beirut in Lebanon.
So actually, let's take a look at this videograph and discuss the subject later when Bassam is here.
welcome again, and welcome Bassam here again with us.
Thank you, thank you. How are you always?
Yeah, I'm glad to be here with you tonight. Actually, always you're with us.
Awesome, awesome. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
So what are the latest updates on the Lebanon videograph?
I was just about to bring that up actually. The Lebanon surprised me completely about what I heard about these protests going on from the Palestinian refugees within Lebanon, and the Lebanon government unpermitted the Palestinian refugees. After 70 years, after 70 years of being a refugee in a country,
Yes.
you can't even live. You
They
can't
now
work there
can't
anymore?
work. Yeah, sorry. Now they can't work there, but with a permission to work in the companies and to be employed. But the good thing about this thing, actually, like a smart move from the Palestinian, because they withdrew all their money from the banks. Like they withdrew $95 million.
Yes, the economy
From
is
Lebanese
quite.
banks.
Yeah, the economy became quite stressed out.
Yes.
It's just the bank. You can't just draw out $85 million from a bank from the economy and not be affected. You know.
Yeah, it counts.
Sure. Oh, yes.
So the next topic, I heard about, is the
Heritage Week in Birzeit.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, I was on a road trip to Ramallah, and I drove by Birzeit, and I went to the. I went
The Palestinian heritage within Birzeit. There was lots of cultural activities.
Social, cultural, and
Yeah.
tourism events, and
Yeah.
also a lot of exhibitions, archaeological exhibitions, scientific exhibitions, literary exhibitions. So it's full of everything.
Yeah, there was actually also simulations for a Palestinian wedding with like Palestinian dresses. Like it's pure traditional. I show it. Yeah,
Pure culture.
exactly. And also there was bands and singers from all over Palestine. There was also. Okay, so actually, I watched one of the organizers saying like some kind of a.
It's
some
just,
kind
it
of a
shows that
speech.
I just saw a literal message, a little meaning in the culture of the Palestinians. It's like every time we want to celebrate something as Palestinians, we actually put our hearts into it completely.
I was
It's
actually going to
also-
say that, and also the.
Let's say something, Ways. It's very important of these. Like these festivals are very important to protect the Palestinian identity and the heritage, and also like because like the new generations.
They need to get to know about all these heritage and cultures, because
Yeah.
if you don't just mention them, you don't do them, you're going to forget them.
You perceive the memory.
Yeah, the memory. It's like the Arabs are becoming more Western.
Yeah,
Yes.
and with.
Let's see this report together.
Marking the 10th Heritage Week, sounds of ancient instruments, traditional songs, dancing feet, and celebration chants were heard through the streets of Birzeit's old city last week. The Heritage Week took place between 17 and 20 of July, represents a manifestation of culture and a tool of exposure, development, and empowerment of the national identity in Palestine. Traditional celebrations together with Palestinian artists, bands, theatrical performances, dance groups, and art exhibitions marked Birzeit Heritage Nights. Also, there were daily entertainment activities for children. This year, displays including crafts, food, and promotional materials were presented by countries such as Brazil, Turkey, India, and Britain. Also, South Africa commemorated the 10th year of Mandela Day during the festival on 18th of July, with a special exhibition commemorating Mandela's life and legacy to make the world a better place. This is Nurhan Al-Masri, NBC.
Hello and welcome again. And Bassam, like you did a report about Palestine and the nature of Palestine. Could you tell us more about
It's just something
that?
I found interesting.
Yes.
I've been living here for 5 years, and I can distinguish, I can compare between the two
Yes.
countries, Eastern and Western. And I've noticed something very interesting in this country. 80% of the people here plant their fruits and vegetables. Like I can go outside hungry and come back full
Yes.
without eating fast food. Like I can go to my grandma's garden. I can find all the kind of fruits in the world in Palestine in her garden.
So okay, like you went on some kind of a tour, and you went to these farms and these.
I just noticed that every single village, or let's say 80% of the population, has a really nice backyard with a nice area that they planted the figs, olive trees, and they make some olive oil along with cactus. What the fruit of the cactus? You
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
know about.
And it's good actually. It's organic. I mean, it's not like mass
Yeah,
production
everything is
because
fresh.
like mass production is. I mean, of
think,
course, it's going
yeah.
to be different than.
The good thing that here, if you go to the supermarket or you go grocery shopping, you see or you can buy a lot of things, a lot of fruits with cheap salaries. Like,
Yes,
but it's diverse
but
outside.
I noticed something also in Western markets. Like I saw some report. An apple can
Yes.
stay for about 1 year before it's sold.
Wow.
Yeah.
1 year.
That's
They
impossible.
put
Oh my
wax
God.
on it. They export it. They import
Yeah.
it. It's just like out of this
I
world.
think we should see this videograph together.
Let's value and respect the Palestinian
Yeah.
culture together. Let's go. Hi, what do you know about Palestine? I think all you know is the conflict, but do you know about the Palestinians? I think not. We all know Palestinians envy their land, but do you know how much? Not just politically, but more, let's say more socially, in any positive way. Let's see how they envy their. Did you know 80% of the Palestinians actually grow their lands with trees, with the fruits that you actually buy from supermarkets? They grow olives. Did you know 70 to 80% of Palestinians actually grow olive trees all over their land for more than one reason actually, for cultural reasons, community reasons, and also they imported and exported during the season marvelous amounts. They grow almonds. Almonds are one precious little fruit that is harvested within the Palestinian family. Every Palestinian family must have an almond tree because when the season comes, it's the green type like this where you actually eat it. And it's actually not crunchy like it is right now, but it's very sour and you eat it with salt. And it's very, very valued in the Palestinian community. You might find this very odd. Why is this cactus tree here, not in the desert? Actually, it's a question has a very nice answer. The cactus tree, as it grows, it becomes a wall. It becomes a barrier for your land, just like a wall. How you see a wall how you see a wall being built. As well as it grows a nice juicy fruit in the summer that you can't resist but eat. But be careful, it's very spiky. This is an odd looking tree, I know. The leaf of it looks like a frog's hand, but in full honesty, this is a fig tree. A fig tree is very rich in vitamins and proteins, and every fig tree is also present in a Palestinian garden or land or in the wild. I don't know why, but I always see fig trees in the wild. I know what you're thinking. This fig is it's not like any ordinary fig that we're usually used to. Usually figs are very dried, used for sweets and any other kind of ingredients that we see in other countries. But this is a fresh fig from fresh tree, and I'm lucky to have it right now. Not to mention, in every Palestinian home, in the front yard, you find a grape tree. Why is there a grape tree in the front yard? Well, the purpose is to provide shade, a beautiful, breezy shade, and eat grapes as well. Those delicious little grapes. But you're probably also wondering, why are these bags all around every single grape? Well, it's because they provide protection and from the insects that makes them unavailable for eating. Ladies and gentlemen, we were just invited in Uncle Abu Ayman's beautiful home. So we've been shooting around the house. And he found us shooting, and he just invited us in. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
You have a beautiful home, and I see that you have a lot of trees in the backyard, front yard, and everything else.
Yes.
What kind of trees do you have here?
I have 20 kind of trees.
You have,
yes,
I saw figs.
Yes, figs, sauvage figs. I have نفل اللي هو الاسكادينيا بيحكوا له.
It's a Palestinian
yes.
fruit. Its name stands for the best in the world.
I have cerise, keras.
Cherries.
Yes, apricot,
Apricots?
apricots.
Oh my
yes.
God. Where is the apricot? Is that
Hi,
it?
hi, look, behind you.
Awesome, awesome.
I have raisins اللي هو العنب.
You have grapes.
I have عندي سفرجل أيضا.
And I see you have like a lot of olive trees.
20 kinds of vegetables.
Fruits and vegetables.
Yes.
And the olive trees, how many acres do you have, mashallah?
I have 5,000 meters, 5 دونمات.
Wow, mashallah.
Behind around my house, yes.
That's amazing. It's amazing. Just around your house.
Yes.
That's a big area.
I have another lands, but
yeah, but you seem to take care of your land
no,
around your house.
Yes,
It's very magnificent. So what we were just learned right today, folks, is from Uncle Abu Ayman. If you violate hospitality and dignity, you'll be in very, very big trouble. Because from the level of a cup of coffee, if you don't drink it, that can be defined as a disgrace to the household. So you better be careful how you treat each other, how you show your body language, not refuse everything that comes to you, because hospitality here is a very much a really good factor. Depends how you look at it. As well as everyone here is very into each other. They love supporting each other. No one minds their own business, but that can't be a really bad thing actually, because here, if you're in trouble, they help you, they support you, they value you, and you're never bored because everyone's always having lunch together, let's say, or picnics, or breakfast and dinner, depending on the celebrations and Eid. So family here and neighbors and the community the community itself is a family. See you next Tuesday, folks, and follow us on NBC Journal around Palestine.
Wow, it's really an interesting journey, Bassam. Nice.
Right?
Nice,
Yeah, actually, I
really
should be
nice.
joining you on these trips.
Oh, I wish, man, I wish.
Yeah, you have my number. You should call me.
Like
Maybe not.
No.
I like to go alone.
Come on. I mean, okay.
we should move now
fair
to
enough.
the technological topic. Of course, like all people, all celebrities has been using
The Face app,
yeah,
obviously.
the Face app, yeah.
Actually, okay, I want to say something on this. My friend was sitting next to me and he was reading the terms and conditions, and actually he wrote something a bit serious, and he said, like, they have like it's like your photo. It's like they own it. They can use it even in the future, even when they develop the app, even like without even going back to you. And I mean, that's not normal.
What do you mean by own it?
Own it, like some kind of use it wherever they want in advertisement,
Like
for example.
like
Possibly, yeah.
actually, the American FBI warned from this app because it said like they can harvest all personal data.
Yeah.
All personal data on your mobile phone
all
or on your
apps are-
Facebook.
And it's also some kind of like when your friend put your photo and on the app, it's like kind of what if you don't want it to be in the app. Anyway, let's take a look at this report about the Face app, and stay tuned with us.
Over the past few days, social media platforms have been filled with the images of old age people through the application of Face app. There are those who consider this app as a threat to personal privacy and security. Once you enter Google Play Store, you will immediately notice that more than 100 million people around the world download the application. This application, which dates back to 2017, was developed by Russian company Wireless Lab, puts the features of aging and personal images through filtering the face by using what's called filter age. It received a large interaction of users and celebrities. Forbes magazine reported that this application was ranked first in 121 countries, according to download data from Apple's iOS application store. Forbes added that by this application, the Russian company can use the user information for any purpose at any time, according to Forbes' terms of use. This app affected Palestinians in a completely different way, where some used this app to remind the international community of Palestinian detainees in Israeli jails, who have already appeared aged with no need to use the Face app. This app was used by a large number of people to call human rights to identify the issue of Palestinian detainees who suffer from cruel conditions and appeared aged at the early stage of their life.
Hello again. Actually, the good thing about the Face app, it prepares people for the wrinkles and the brain
shock?
dimples in the future.
I wonder how we look like in this Face app.
I hate this app actually. It's so
way
scary.
way ahead of you.
It's so
I already
scary.
did a photo of all of three of us. It's right there.
Okay, so Bassam was on campus this week, and he asked people about inspiring movies they've watched. Like, okay, let me answer you this question. I watched A Walk to Remember, and it inspires me the idea of, like, in the movie, how life.
It's more of a peace movie.
Not really. I mean, like, how life is different when it's approached with passion and love rather than pain.
Yeah, it's like understand others, maybe more sympathetic and all kinds of others.
Kind of. Also, like, there was some kind of an actor who inspires a lot, like, by his personality.
Actors are a very important factor in movies and things like this, depending on their personalities. For me personally, Suits was my number one TV series that really affected my personality. Harvey Specter beating up all those people with his confidence.
This is really cool. Wow.
I know, it's good, it's good.
Okay, so let's take a look at
I know.
this.
My favorite movie, I think, like, it's a funny movie. It's so funny. It's How to Be Single.
How to Be Single.
How to Be single. I learned how to be like
I
a
think
strong
you're doing a
individual
very good
woman.
job. So let's check out everybody on the Vox Bob right now. Today we'll be looking at who we are today, who we become, and who we present. How do we present ourselves through our characters? We're going to be looking at this topic from different perspectives of movies that we have watched in the recent years. So we're at the Najah University today, asking people questions, the students specifically, who have they become based on the movies they have watched and being inspired for. So let's check them out right now.
One of the movies that I watched called The Prestige is one of the movies that influenced me and influenced the way I interact with people and how I perceive things. So the movie talks about like how we perceive things in a good way and a bad way, and that the things that we watch is not the reality, that they have secrets behind them and have a lot of influence on the way people interact with each other.
The Great Gatsby was a fantastic movie. It has a realistic story. The morals given was fantastic, and it was good.
What movie has inspired you to become the person you are today?
It's not a movie actually, it's an actor.
That's good.
His name is Adam Sandler. So funny. Actually, I watched one before I come to the college. It was called Week Off. It's so funny and makes me happier when I watch his movies.
It prepares you for today's good mood.
Yeah, I hope so.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So there we have it, folks, for today. We have a positive response on what movies affected the Najah students, as they like to be more realistic and happy while be inspired by these type of movies. Adam Sandler's, I never thought someone would be inspired by just an actor. So let's move on right now today.
Hello again, our dearest viewers, and now with our guest from An-Najah National University, we're going to talk about burying the Nakba and also how Israel hides documents and evidences since the 1948 Nakba. Hello and welcome again, Dr. Amjad Abulaz.
Hi, Lana. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, we're glad to be here with you tonight. Actually, like to start tonight, would you fill us in about the documents that everyone has been talking about?
Yes, actually, it's very interesting documents, and actually, this is the first time in the history that an Israeli newspaper published documents and evidence that criminalize Israel.
Yeah, it was the Haaretz, I guess.
Yes, and actually it's been, they spread wide now, and it's very important documents because this is the first time that an Israeli academic, an Israeli journalist that revealed this kind of documents. And actually, as a Palestinians, we were looking for that kind of evidence. We've been asking the Israeli to talk about the refugee and to talk about the Nakba and in a way to support our narrative. But this is not just the only, we're not talking about a couple of papers, we're talking about Israel hide more than 300,000 papers since before actually establishing in Israel.
That's history.
Yes,
That's history.
actually before that. So we're talking about 300,000 papers that's been hidden. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, he signed a document recently. He asked the government to hide all the archive. For example, if you want to know about the secrets about assassination of Yahya Ayyash, you have to wait until 2080.
Wow.
And if you want to know the history about for example, 1973 war, you have to wait until 2044. So actually, Israeli Prime Minister, he knows that the sensitivity of this kind of documents. He always asks the government to postpone revealing this kind of sensitive because they know there will be news against Israel in the international law.
Let me ask a question. Like, how can Palestinian narrations use these documents and use these issues in order to
help and support the Palestinian-Israeli conflict?
Issue.
Unfortunately, these are good questions, but unfortunately, until now, we don't have this kind of organizations that to follow up this kind of evidence. I mean, we should. If we define the two authorities, we're talking about the Palestinian Authority. Unfortunately, doesn't have the legal authority to talk about this issue. Sounds like there's as a peace agreement between Israel
Oslo.
and also it's a called Oslo agreement, which it tied our hand from taking Israel to the international court with these issues. But the only organizations that can take Israel to the international human rights organizations is the PLO.
The Palestinian Liberation Organization.
Because it represents the Palestinians across the world, and actually it has the legal legitimacy to take Israel, and in cooperation with our friends around the world, with the human rights organizations, and I'm sure a lot of Israeli leftists will support this, because if you see the interviews with the journalist who published the story, he said, I wanted the Israeli people, the Israeli audience to know the fact, to know what we have done to the Palestinians and before the war, 1948, and after the establishment of Israel. So there's a public opinion within the Israeli community, but we need to talk to them. We need to support the leftists who support our right as well.
Also, media plays a huge role in this. So, like, what is the role of Palestinian and international media in the whole thing?
Unfortunately, we are a failure in this. We are talking to Palestinians, we are eating Palestinians, we are thinking in Palestinians.
We think locally.
Exactly. We don't have a newspaper, respected, have a credibility newspaper to talk to the audience around the world.
I agree.
You know, there's no newspapers that can, address the world and to address the Palestinian voice. And actually, this vacuum let the Israelis fill it.
Even digital diplomacy. Is there any digital diplomacy within the Palestinian?
We are Israel now in the top 12 countries, I think, in the world with the digital diplomacy.
I never see the Palestinian Authority doing any Twitter posts or using keeping up with the social media.
Yeah, but we always
things that people
see
use.
the Israeli, for example, Netanyahu and all of these things can.
It very much helps.
Let's be fair. Recently, Hamas leaders, they took the lead and they start to tweet. Some of the Palestinian leaders as well start to use the social media and Facebook, but it's not like the Israelis. It's not like they're
not very active.
Exactly. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Israel, they have $30 million for the digital diplomacy and public diplomacy. They know how to address. They know how to shape the public opinion. And by the way, this is very important, dangerous fact, this document, because that will change the public opinion internationally and will put Israel in the corner to say, you committed a crime and this is the evidence by your archive.
What do you think should journalists and the Palestinian journalists and others do to...
are we in the right path? As citizens, journalists, writers, Palestinian writers, are we in the right path?
From your professional opinion,
we used to be better. If you look at the, from 1960s until Oslo Agreement, we were great. We did great job focusing on people and grassroots. So we participate in student union, with a women union, and everywhere. So we were everywhere. We speak. You see the guys that are wearing kufiya. They participate in all the conferences around the world.
We became symbols. Symbols even came out.
No. But because of Oslo, we start act as a state. We are not a state yet. So we forgot, we have neglected the public opinion, the normal people, and we start to focus on the states.
It's like we forgot our goal.
No, it's not a goal. It's a target. We have to work in two sides.
That's what I mean, the target,
state
yes.
and the grassroots. We have to talk to the Israeli society. We have to talk to the Chinese society, to the British society. Why we have to talk to the state? The state and people. And that is, I think, is a big mistake from the Palestinian Authority. We have to work in both sides. The public, grassroots, and the state.
And how does culture and heritage plays role in all of this?
Our history and our culture is very rich. You know, we can talk hours and hours about our history, about kufiyya, about food, kunafa, falafel, about our identity. But unfortunately, because for many reasons, we fail in this. First of all, we don't have an expertise in public relations and PR. Israel, perfect in that. Second things, many Palestinians cannot speak English. And most of the journalists actually in this country, they cannot speak English.
English is very weak, yes.
Not just that. Leaders. Give me one Palestinian leader who speak very good English and strong English, try to convince the international community. While the Israelis, most of them, they speak fluent English.
Even if not more than 3 languages.
Yes, 3 languages.
And Arabic.
Yeah.
But they also, I think, as Israeli, they steal our food, they steal our culture, they steal our history. So are we, in the right way to fight these things or not?
With this kind of strategy, no. Unfortunately, we are using the same rhetoric. We are the same path.
Same tactic.
We don't use... And our image in the international media, we are a terrorist, you know?
True.
Yeah, and that's...
So what you're saying is that we're sending the wrong message, using the wrong methods.
Yes.
And
we're both Muslims and Palestinians, so it's a hard,
it's hard thing to fight.
It's
comparing
really
the stereotypes.
That's part of the problem. If you look at the Palestinians, we have now 5 messages. Look, messages of the West Bank, messages of Gaza, messages of the people who lives in Israel, and people who lives in abroad, but refugees. So we have 5 contradicted messages. While the Israelis, they have one message. All of them, they speak one language, one idea. But if you look at the Palestinians, in Gaza, they want to, lift the blockade. In West Bank, they want a state. Stop the settlements. The people, the Arabs who lives in Israel, they want equality. The people who live abroad, they've been neglected. Nobody cares about them. So we have a problem with their messages and players. Many players, many messages.
Well, thank you, Dr. Amjad Abou Al-Aziz. It's always a nice talk with you, and it's a great pleasure actually having you here. And thank you for coming.
Thank you very much for having me, and all the best in your program.
Thank you.
Loved every opinion, every professional opinion. Glad to have you here at the university, actually.
Thank you so much.
Students are good hands. For more details, visit nn.ps and see you next Tuesday.